families get involved. This is all about sound money. Sound money is for all of us. Okay, all right. So welcome back. And we have actually activity in the tent. We have the camera pointed in a different direction right now, but it's pretty busy here at PorcFest 2024. You know, one of the things that I like about this is everyone seems so nice here. And that plays really well, you know, basically for having a tent at a big festival with thousands of people like it is at PorcFest. So, hey, okay, gotcha. I'll go ahead and refresh that. Okay, there we go. All right, Daniel, take it.
Yay, everybody, and thank you for listening in on X and YouTube. We're here with Rob Kientz. We have a couple of great guests coming in. We have Steffy from Steffy and Fox Finance. Is that right?
The Financial Fox.
Financial Fox.
Yes.
And then we have
Cassiopeia Services, which we'll talk about when she comes on.
Excellent, excellent. We got Alex Newman. Yes, that Alex Newman that's talking about the family and
the now famous Alex Newman.
The now famous. I've known Alex since 2010, I believe, 2009. Yep. And then I started seeing him pop up on television. I'm like, oh, I know that Alex Newman. So he'll be on short around 4:30 today, and Steffy will be on around 3:30.
Yeah, she's coming on at 3, and I think Alex is going to join us at 4:30.
There we go.
All times are Eastern, just so you know. And once again, you know, thank you for joining us. Give us a freedom or a liberty in the comments section. Let us know you can hear us, please.
Yes, yes. So I'm loving PorcFest. Well, you've only been here for about a day. What do you think so far, Rob?
This is a lot of fun. It is a meeting of a lot of independent-minded people. I won't say libertarian because you have all sorts of types of people, but independent, love to make decisions for themselves, are fully capable of leading their own lives, setting up secondary marketplace, which we have here, which is awesome. But it's not like, you know, some of those stodgy conferences you have to dress up in a suit. You can come out here in shorts, get to know people on a more human level. And there's some great speakers right over here at the tent. I'll be there at 5, but all week long, we've had great speakers talking about liberty and freedom, not only from a monetary aspect, but just every aspect of it. And it's great that we still have those in this country. It's the freedom to assemble. It's part of our Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and good to see people out here in New Hampshire taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I've been here since Sunday. We got in on Sunday afternoon, and you know what? It's been slowly ramping up. You know, today has been the busiest day here in the Sound Money Market Tent. We have people coming in and out. They are actually bidding on our silent auction raffle. We have a very, very rare coin from 1798. Very few of these silver coins exist. Tell us a little bit about the 1798 coin that you brought in.
So it's a $1798 13-star dollar that we had appraised by Annex, and it's come in at about $2,900. It's just a piece of history. It's one of the most famous designs of old coins. And this particular coin, these old dollars, once they get to about 200 years old, they're really hard to find in good shape. And we've got one that's almost uncirculated. People that know that's the grade right before you get to brilliant uncirculated, or the mint state type of coin. It's just a beautiful piece of history. And following up, we also have a lot of 1800 coins. We have 5-cent pieces, trade dollars, pieces of American history we have here for the silent auction, or you can buy it now just like on eBay. If you really like it, we got a buy it now price on these. All proceeds go to benefit Citizens for Sound Money, but more than that, they go to benefit the 360 million people in the United States that need a monetary alternative to the dollar, which is failing. And that's ultimately what we're here fighting for. We're fighting for you. We're fighting for the people in New Hampshire. We're fighting for the people of all the 50 states. And even more broadly, we're fighting for sound money across the world, and that's how important this is. So we appreciate everybody here that's walked up to the table and supported us and asked about these items. And we'll have these out on bid tonight and tomorrow as well to wrap up the conference tomorrow night.
Yeah, and you know, last segment, Rob, you mentioned that you asked me to tell my story, how I got involved with Citizens Sound Money, and then you said you share your story a little later. Why don't you share how you learned about Citizens Sound Money, how you met Jim, Reno, Marion, and got involved with C4SM, and then I'm going to get this TV going while you're doing that.
Awesome. So, yeah, my story started back in 2009 when I got laid off. I was working at a Big Four public accounting company, had raised over $7 million on the largest project in the Southwest area for that company, and I got laid off a few months later in February of 2009. And I asked my partner, I said, I just made you 100 years worth of my salary for the company. Why am I getting laid off? and it was a decision by the national partnership to get rid of people who didn't have their CPA. Well, I wasn't a CPA back then. I was a technology guy. And I thought that was rather arbitrary when a technology guy outsells all of the CPAs in the Southwest area of the United States of the firm, and yet they don't keep him on. I thought I had proved it. I had proved through my work, the worth, and brought the company a lot of money, but they let me go. And that made me mad because I just had my son, who was less than a year old, and we were trying to figure out what to do now on one income. It just didn't make any sense. But we learned about, I started studying the economy. I studied Austrian economics. That led me to gold and silver. I wrote a book. I wrote syndicated across the internet for many, many, many years. And then it just had started a couple of years, my YouTube channel and Twitter, not knowing what the hell I was doing, but really trying to get involved in the movement. And I met Jim at the New Orleans Investment Conference a couple of years ago, and met him, and a couple of other friends got together, and he was telling us about this mission. I thought, well, this is really interesting. And at first it was more about education and things like that, and then eventually it got to the legislative side, and it just kept growing, and it kept growing, and it kept growing, and eventually, I got invited to be a part of the board, which, by the way, I was incredibly honored for. It's my first board position. I feel like, while I can bring a lot, there's a lot to be learned for me by this. And but what really got me was meeting all the people in the advisory board within the organization that coming from all these different backgrounds had gotten together for the purposes of this. And I thought, you know what, this has legs. This really does. And what I have been trying to do individually for so many years, now here's this group of people, what I call high quality people that have a lot of integrity, and they have a lot to sort of risk by doing this. They're putting their butts out on the line. And I thought, if I found the right group of people, I've been looking for that in the gold sector for a long time. I love the gold community, but this is a group that had come together for the purposes of this specific thing, which I felt so strongly about that I just had to dive in. So, I appreciate being a part of this organization. Thank you guys so much for inviting me, and hopefully, I can contribute in some positive way to the furtherance of sound money and help C4SM reach its end goals.
Yeah, and I remember when you realized that what Citizens Sound Money, what Jim built, what came to life. Like,
Yes.
We had a victory party back in, was it March? I think it was March.
Earlier this year, yeah.
No, yeah, it was in March.
Yeah.
And I asked you, what did you think? And you immediately said, like, I had no idea how big this has gotten.
Yeah, what Jim was he's a very quiet master networker. He didn't brag about his networking. He just did it.
Yeah.
And I had always had a good relationship with him. Several of my friends had, but I had no idea. I showed up at this victory event, and I was blown away by the amount of people that Jim had affected that came from completely different backgrounds, but we're all coming together. And what I tried to do at this one, I think you accused me of being antisocial, but really what it was I was so floored by the people. I would go speak to a person for an hour to get to know their story and how they came into it. And every time I talked to someone, I was so blown away by the motivation and by why they were doing it. It was not for money. It was not for personal self-interest as much as it was for the principles that Jim had always been behind, and that aligned with my principles. And I thought, I found my people. This is my lost tribe, because I went through life for many, many years trying to find my tribe.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really found it until I met the group of people here. And I just feel so blessed to be, a part of this. I feel like in the second era of my life, as I, get older, that I want to do things that align with my own values, with people that I want to do them with. And this group is such a great group of people. I just feel really blessed to be a part of it, and feel really blessed to have met Jim years ago. That led to, being able to participate in what we're doing here today. So just super excited and blown away and humbled by everything that Jim has done. But all the people, after Jim passed, it was such a what do you call it? A galvanizing event for us, because the group just, there's something about, if you're out there listening to this, don't ever underestimate the power that you have on people and the seeds that you plant every day. Talk to people, because the seeds that he planted a few years ago are growing, and now we have these oak trees coming out of the ground. It's amazing what's happened, and the explosion in interest in what we're doing has just been nothing short of phenomenal. It's been just awesome.
We are in a little over our third anniversary as Citizens Sound Money. In the first 2 years, Jim spent building networks and building bridges with the community, with the gold and silver industry, with the sound money movement. And because of his efforts, single-handedly, he was able to bring together companies and people from around the globe, not just in the country, from around the globe for one single purpose: to spread the sound money movement, the sound money gospel, and spread liberty and freedom through sound money. Because we truly do believe as citizens of sound money that sound money is a foundation of freedom, and you can't have sound markets without sound money.
That's exactly right. You can have a sound anything without sound money, because it's through money that the corruption comes, the buying off of the political, the changing of the culture. It all starts with the money. The money is the base. And we certainly realize as part of C4SM, it goes beyond the money.
Yeah.
Our goal is not only to affect sound money, but to affect all of the freedom principles wrapped up in the Constitution, and that really are the bedrock of the freedom that we enjoy, not only in the United States, but across the Western world nowadays. And we just want to go back to those principles. But the easiest way to do it, fix the money, fix the world, I guess, is one of our sayings also. Fix the money, fix the world. We can solve a lot of problems if we take the corruption out of the money.
100%. And if you take the corruption out of the money by replacing the money with sound money, you take the corruption out of government, or at least a good chunk of it.
Yep.
Right? Because you can't just print currency into oblivion to pay off politicians to their super PACs. You can't go into unstoppable wars, and proxy wars. So the sound money pretty much fixes everything.
It does. It's the base of everything. And so I think that's why what we're doing is so important. To be here in New Hampshire, one of the original places in the United States that has stood for free markets and has stood for independence and small government values, constitutional principles, and still does today. You can drive around the state and meet all these wonderful people. You can just tell, you can see it in people's eyes. When you live free, there's a different glint to someone's eyes. And this area just has such great people. And the people here at PorcFest, coming from around the country, in some cases around the world, to take part in this, it goes back to freedom of assembly, freedom to sharing of ideas, freedom of markets. As much as I love Texas, I haven't seen this type of thing in Texas in a long time. And it's really inspiring. I'm getting energy from this. I'm building up like superpower from being here and absorbing sort of everybody's energy. And it's so freeing, and it's so wonderful to see this. If you're in a place where, unfortunately, you're not seeing that on an everyday basis, think about coming out to this next year. It's been such a great event. And if you're here, we'll still be here Saturday as well. Drive up. If you're anywhere in the surrounding area, drive up and see us. It's a wonderful event. There's so many people here, thousands of people here. We've got events on the stage. We've got us doing a broadcast. It's just a whole lot of fun. I really encourage people to get involved. And this is how you get involved. You get involved on the local level with people of like mind. And this is how you can build your own belief in your own faith that we can still live in a free society, because I think that we can. I think we've all been captured in this sort of prison planet, prison state sort of situation. We all get riled up about, national politics and the presidency. But really, this is where change begins. It begins at the local level. And I think this is a great illustration of that. We get attacked by bugs here.
Yeah. The flies here actually suck your blood. It's very strange.
Okay.
I think they might be
vampire flies.
Yeah, vampire flies.
Hey, they're broadcasting over there at the pavilion too, but I think they charge like $29 or something like that for coverage. We're doing it for you for free.
That's right.
But I'll tell you what, there's one thing you could do to really help us out. You could go to Citizens for Sound Money website and look for the donation, click on it, and actually you can give donations to Citizens for Sound Money. Let me tell you what we do with that money. This actually makes a big difference nationwide. So if we could actually get you to give us a $25 donation, that'll help us get legislation in, Missouri, Florida, New Hampshire, even.
Texas.
This is how we do it, gang. It does cost money to travel. So if you could literally give a little bit of your time, a little bit as you're watching this, a little bit of your money to help us literally get sound money into your state legislatively. This is how we do it. It's right here on Citizens and the number 4 soundmoney.org. Click on donate.
And one of my mentors would say it this way: you can give one of your T's, your time, your treasure, or your talent. If you are a lobbyist, give your talent, give your time, and donate your time to help us lobby. If you are independently wealthy or you have some extra discretionary spending, go ahead and give your treasure to the cause, or just come out and give your time. Time, treasure, or talent.
Time really makes a big difference.
It does.
Talking with people, sharing of ideas, that really is sort of the bedrock of all of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And if it's really tight and you can't afford it, please share the videos. That helps us out a great deal as well. Let your friends know about Citizens for Sound Money and the work we do legislatively across the nation.
Absolutely. And you know what? The work that we're doing is so important at a practical level for people who are struggling to survive. People, if you're listening, and you've probably experienced the amount of inflation that's happening in your daily lives with your groceries, whether it's gasoline, whether it's just the fact that you aren't able to buy as much as you used to just a few years ago. But then think about those who are on fixed incomes, those who are disabled. They are earning Social Security or disability, and how can they even make it? I mean, and when I was in Missouri after the last week in session, I ordered an Uber, and the woman that was driving was a 78-year-old woman who came out of retirement. And asked her, how long have you been doing this? She said a few weeks. She just bought the SUV, and the Uber is basically covering her SUV and allowing her to eat. She's driving for the sole purpose of eating. She said she's a widow. She can't make ends meet. And then even here in New Hampshire, I stayed at a hotel near Concord when we came up to the lobby. The woman that was at the front desk, to survive, she has to work 3 jobs, 1 full-time job and 2 part-time jobs. I ask her, when do you sleep? She's like, in the parking lot. Before I go to my next job, I wait and sleep for a couple hours. I'm like, what? And then the next day, she overslept in the parking lot and missed her job at Dunkin' Donuts.
And that's real. If you look at the unemployment numbers, going back to data, I'm such a data head and a data geek. Sorry, everybody. But if you go back to the unemployment numbers and you dive down into the government's unemployment report, that's exactly what's happening. People are losing full-time jobs and they're taking 2 or 3 part-time jobs, or they're coming back in the workforce retired. The amount of people that can retire has gone down significantly in the last 5 to 10 years. Its inflation has just destroyed their savings. So even people that had $1 million that thought that would cover it, that $1 million may only be worth 400,000 or 500,000.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to pay off a house and pay for groceries, and we're not talking about taking vacations, we're talking about people that realize they have 15 to 20 more years to live, and the money that they spent their entire life saving has now been devalued to the point where they got to go work again.
Yeah. And if they weren't earning, and realistically, if they weren't earning 10 to 15% a year, every year compounding, you're falling behind, because real inflation is a lot higher than what the government is saying. I don't trust anything the government really puts out anymore. I think all of us had that moment when we woke up and we're like, oh my God, the government actually lies to us. They're manipulating us. And I just don't trust the data that the government's putting out or the Fed's putting out. I think, and one, if you're an Austrian economist, or you believe in Austrian school economics, you know that it's impossible to gauge every aspect of human economy, because there are so many nuances and information that you can't quantify, because you just don't know what the information is. I mean, the GDP is not that accurate. Any of the data that we're putting out there on economics, it's just our best guess and the best metrics that we have. The way that I like measuring inflation is looking at the actual deficit spending and total debt of the United States as a base currency level, and then on top of that, you can add a bank credit as inflation. But ultimately, you look at the fact that we, since 2020, I said the other night 70-something%. I was way off. I meant to say 46, not 76%. We have increased our monetary supply by over 46% since January of 2020. That's almost 50% of your purchasing power has been lost at a base currency level. And it's hurting everybody. And yes, you might not have a 46% inflation on gas or food or eggs, but think about that the base is here, and as the government starts spending, or the institutions start spending that currency, it trickles into the economy in different ways.
That's exactly right. And the economy is changing. Since our next guest here in a few minutes is going to be talking about the digital economy, I want to jump into that. What are the changes, Daniel, that I know you have gotten heavily involved in this, and the digital side of the economy, that's going to change things that people need to be aware of? It is gold and silver is a good one, but what are the other things people need to be aware of moving forward in terms of maybe debanking or spreading out their risk and using these electronic systems basically to build their own economy, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the digital currency space, look, we are in the 21st century. We are turning a 5,000-year-old currency, gold and silver, a form of money, into a digital asset-backed currency, asset-backed digital currency, a term that our organization has coined, which is gold and silver backed 1-to-1 that's redeemable at lower quantities. An ounce of gold, 20 ounces of silver, which is reasonable for redemption purposes. So if this is the way that we need to go if we want to save the money, because by making gold and silver, because the dollar has lost so much of its value from being $20 per ounce to now $2,400 roughly per ounce, and $1 per ounce of silver to about $30 per ounce. We can no longer use gold and silver functionally as coins, because it's maintained its purchasing power against the dollar, and it's no longer a situation where we can just throw a 1 ounce coin and buy something. We need to fractionalize physical gold and silver, and the only way to use it in our current 21st century economy is by digitizing it, like Kinesis gold and silver, or Load gold and silver, or Glint gold. So these are companies, and those are just three. There's at least 7, 8, 9 other companies out there that are making real world assets into tokenized digital currencies. Patrick, were you going to say something? Oh, okay. So no, this is the way that we're going. And for those of you that haven't started converting your currency, your fiat currency, into real money, look, as Patrick says on his broadcast in Missouri, his Saturday night broadcast, the best time to have planted a fruit tree was 10 years ago. We're going to say the same thing. The best time to have bought gold and silver was 10 years ago. The next best time to buy gold and silver is today. So if you haven't started putting your freedom or prioritizing your freedom economically yet, if you haven't started saving your economic energy into real money that's going to preserve your purchasing power, start today. Open up a Kinesis account. Open up a Glint account. If you're into cryptocurrency, go buy some Load gold and silver tokens and start putting your economic energy into real world assets that you can spend with a debit card.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to debank, you have to have an alternative system. And those alternative systems, if you want to transfer money to somebody or buy something online, you're going to have to do it electronically. So as much as I love the physical gold and silver, because you get that, I always say I get a religious experience every time I touch it. And it's great because it has inherent value. To me, it's God's money. It's natural money. You also need a way to transact on that. In the modern world, and mailing a gold coin to Amazon and hoping that they don't steal it and they send you merchandise back,
yes,
it's probably not the best idea. So we need an electronic system behind that, and we already live in an electronic age. We have the internet, we have wire transfers, we have social media, so it's not really a stretch to say our money's going to have an electronic component to it. I know a lot of people may not trust that, but honestly, you're doing it anyway. Your bank account, your direct deposit from your employer, when you send money into your credit card, that's all electronic. All we're doing is saying, let's put the blockchain behind it, but build something free, not by the banks, but free. Why do we accept wire transfers, but we don't accept the blockchain? Why do we accept direct deposit, but we don't accept the blockchain? I don't understand
that. They don't control it. They don't control it. And
I know.
That's the main reason.
And people just need to change their idea to, instead of using the banks, which make all the money on the transactions, and then turn around and suppress you, put your money into an electronic system that promotes freedom and gets out of the banking system and gives you choice and keeps more of the money in the system for you. Because I don't know about you, but all of the digital systems I've used to transfer money, whether they be asset-backed digital currencies or cryptos, are a lot cheaper than sending a wire. And it's a lot cheaper than paying PayPal fees or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Blockchain. There are blockchains out there that cost less than a penny to be transacted.
Yep.
I love Polygon. Polygon is a second layer solution. It has its own gas token. I think it was Matic, and they were switching to, I think, Polygon token. I know there's some type of switch happening. But you have Avalanche, you have Stellar, you have what else? You have what is that? The second layer for Ethereum, Optimism, and another one that starts with. There's so many different blockchains out there that are so efficient and quick. I mean, I stopped buying Bitcoin directly. I started buying Wrap Bitcoin because, well, Wrap Bitcoin is essentially one company on one blockchain buying Bitcoin, putting in a smart contract, and then creating an equivalent amount of Bitcoin. So if there's 100 Bitcoins in the, say, the Matic blockchain, there's also 100 in the smart contract, and the Bitcoin being in reserves. So for me, it's a lot cheaper to buy Wrap Bitcoin, and because it tracks, they have an oracle that tracks on all these different blockchains, on Avalanche, on Ethereum, and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. And it's just for me, it's easier, faster, and quicker to buy Wrap Bitcoin than Bitcoin directly, because it can take hours for a transaction if the blockchain is being whatchamacallit, the blockchain is being like congested. Sorry,
Yeah, congested, slow,
and so forth.
and
And same thing with gold, because this is why I do it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
that's okay. Go for it.
It's easier for me to swap Wrap Bitcoin for gold and silver, whether it's
Mhm.
PaxG, Tethered Gold, or sending it into USDC immediately over to the Kinesis exchange, or doing it directly on the Kinesis exchange. So it's, you can't really swap on the Bitcoins, but you can swap Wrap Bitcoin for digital gold or digital silver.
And I think the key here is, and what you're talking about, is the evolution of money. If we go back to the beginning of the internet, they had code 402 in your browser, your Netscape browser, your Explorer browser, that was meant for electronic commerce, but they didn't have the infrastructure. The internet was the pipe, but they didn't have the payment infrastructure to enact that. And so what we're seeing now in digital currencies is the evolution of what they knew when the internet started was commerce and the ability to send money. And so being able to send money has always been a plan on the internet. We're just now developing systems, and you can either use, like I said, the banker systems, or you can use systems that speak to freedom. So I'm definitely not afraid of the blockchain. And when you get a product like Kinesis, like the shirt I'm wearing now, that has built this system for Indonesia, a top five country in the world by population, 270 million people that use this through their postal system, that trust these payments, that do it electronically through Kinesis, backed by gold and silver. That's really the culmination of both of these together. And I think we're about to have our guest on. Steffi's about to join us. We're getting her into the stream.
Yes, Patrick, I think you need to unmute her in the red button there.
Hey, Steffi, can you hear us?
Steffi, can you hear us?
Oh, we'll get it worked out. I think
we hear her on.
Hey, Steffi. Hey, how are you? Can she see us?
No, she can't see us. She can hear it though.
Okay.
I'll switch screens.
Adjust the camera.
Okay.
Steffi, can you hear us?
Hey, Steffi. We're trying to get Steffi on. She's overseas, joining us from somewhere in the UK, more than likely.
She's typing.
Okay.
Oh, she's typing?
Yep, I can hear her typing.
Oh.
So we hear her. I don't think she can hear us.
She's probably trying to chat. Is there a chat feature here that we can?
Not that I'm aware
Yeah,
of.
let me head over there and take over.
All right, we're gonna get Daniel. He's the technical guru on our software. We'll get him lined up.
Hey, Steffi, can you hear us? I was told
No, this is ours until 5, and I'm a board member of C4SM, and we had a book till 5, so we're running till 5. We've got guests. And this is our equipment, and I made that decision because we're the ones that own it. And it was on the schedule. It's been on the schedule for a week.
Steffi, are you there? Can you hear us? Hello?
Still working on getting Steffi in here. We're working through some technical difficulties you can hear in the background. We're working on getting our board working. We'll get there.
Hey, Steffi, can you hear us?
Hey, Steffi.
Text her.
Okay.
She's muted up.
Yeah, she's muted.
Oh, that's what
All right.
Volume for us to hear.
Okay, she's all right. I'm gonna see if I can hit her up on Twitter if she sees it. Sorry, guys, we'll work through.
I would pull 3.
We are broadcasting live. Can you please step away? Put the camera on me. Hey, Steffi, how are you?
Oh, we have her on screen. Let me see.
Yeah, we do have on.
We have her on screen. She cannot hear us. Steffi, can you hear us?
Hey, Steffi, can you hear us?
No? I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. It worked with Kurt.
Okay, let's just keep going. All right, so Steffi's not able to join us due to technical difficulty. We are going across the pond. Thank you, Steffi. And
Can you hear us now, Steffi?
hey, Steffi. There we are. Hey. I can hear her.
I can hear her. We can hear her.
Hey, Steffi, can you hear us?
Steffi, can you hear us? Hello?
Hey, Steffi.
Steffi. We hear her.
Take off mute.
This is unmute.
Okay.
Let me see. I don't know. I don't know why it's not. We can hear her. Audio settings, mic delay, noise gate off, compressor off, cancellation off. Maybe is she on her iPhone? Or is she on her MacBook? Oh, I haven't seen it in a long time. Sorry, everybody. We have some technical difficulties. I don't know. I'm not sure what's wrong.
All right, it looks like we can hear each other, but not simultaneously. Or she cannot hear us, we can hear her. It may just be a setting. We're pushing the limits of technology, broadcasting over satellite internet.
It's her. It must be one of her settings.
Yeah, we do, and it worked earlier with our other guests. Yeah. So it should be a setting. It's okay. We'll move on. Hey, Steffi, can you hear us? I'm burning the bridge I want to burn, but what I really care about is the fact that we had an agreement and I set it up per the agreement, and I'm getting told afterwards it's not per the agreement. So are you an honorable man and do you honor your agreement? Because the common document that we all have, which we all communicate together, why? Because you're changing it? So do we pull our $5,000 away from you and let you pay for the whole thing? Do you want to make that? You want me to call Reno and make that call? Have we paid for this, for our half of the tent yet? I'm not saying I'm burning the bridge. Let me. Reno's the chairman. Let me talk to him. And this, if he.
Change things up a bit. So your acceptance of this challenge, if you decide to accept it, maybe beyond exposure to God and Jesus they'll ever have. Debate this issue is to look at the available evidence, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to put God on trial. Bring the dead to life. I'm so going to see a revolution somehow. If the universe created you, but who created the universe? You don't have to commit intellectual suicide to believe in a creator behind the creation.
to bring a revolution somehow. Atheists say that no one can prove the existence of God, and they're right. Evolutionally tells you what happens once you have life. But I say no one can disprove that God exists. He's surely alive. He's living on the inside. It's easy to dismiss what you don't understand, or what you don't want to understand. Eyes make the darkness out.
He's saying that we need a God to be moral, that a moral atheist is an impossibility.
No, but with no God, there's no real reason to be moral. I mean, it's not even a standard of what moral behavior is. As Dostoevsky famously pointed out, if God does not exist, then everything is possible. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living. So Radisson is right. Then all of this, all of our struggle, our debate, whatever we decide here is meaningless. I mean, our lives and ultimately our deaths have no more consequence than that of a gold.
Change things up a bit.
So your acceptance of this challenge, if you decide to accept it, maybe you get more meaningful exposure to God and Jesus they'll ever have. Debate this issue is to look at the available evidence, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to put God